Startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. Geng Lei was a master archer of the state of Wei in ancient times. Once he held a bow in his left hand and took an arrow in his right hand, closing one eye, pulling the bow full. After loosing the string, the arrow would definitely hit the middle of the target. The king of Wei often appointed him to hunt in the wild places. Every time, they came back with a lot of prey before sunset. Everyone was very happy. One day, they saw a lonely wild goose. It flew slowly into the distance with a plaintive whine. Geng Lei stopped, looked at the wild goose in the air, and said to the king, "I don't need an arrow. I just pull the string and this goose will fall." "Really?" The king didn't believe his ears and asked, "Do you really have such a great ability?" Geng Lei said with a smile, "Please let me have a try." Geng Lei, holding the bow with his left hand and pulling the string with his right hand, facing the wild goose, the hand loosened and the bowstring banged. The wild goose was flying well initially, but it suddenly clapped its wings twice and wanted to fly higher. Then it stopped and fell straight out of mid-air. The king was very surprised. "You really have such a great ability." He quickly asked his attendant to pick up the wild goose. Geng Lei said with a smile, "The wild goose we met today happened to have already been injured by an arrow." The king then did not believe his ears again. He asked, "We saw this wild goose at the same time just now. How did you know it had been shot and injured?" Geng Lei said, "I could see it from its flying speed. And I could hear it from its chirping." It turned out that the wild goose flew very slowly because it had been injured by an arrow. Its wound did not heal. The wild goose cried miserably because it had no company and was very lonely. As soon as it heard the sound of the string, it was very afraid, so it tried its best to fly higher. As soon as it tried harder to fly, the wound opened again and finally it fell down. At this time, the attendant picked back the wild goose. The king saw that there was no arrow on the wild goose, but there was really an arrow wound. The wound just opened and began to bleed. The king said to Geng Lei happily, "You are really the most powerful archer ever."